And tonight we have Becky and all of the stuff she's in charge of.
Becky and stuff.
There's only about 13 of them, so you're all set.
I brought my water.
We'll start with the treasurer collector.
Okay.
All right. Hi, everybody. I don't know if I know the new members.
Alex
Alex.
and Lynn.
Hi.
That's Becky, she's our treasurer collector. I guess
She's got
Rebecca
all
Tubbs,
the money.
excuse me.
Yeah. That's all good. It's all good. I'm Becky to everybody, so. Okay, so we're starting with the treasurer collector budget.
Yes, please.
Okay. We'll start with the treasurer's salary, requested $84,000. That's the contracted amount for FY23. The treasurer assistant salary includes a 2% COLA, which I think was the standard across the board for every non-union employee. She works 37 and a half hours, if anybody needed to know that. The treasurer additional salary is a $1,000 stipend because I'm actually a certified municipal treasurer and certified municipal collector. So that's a stipend that's in the bylaws for that. I had requested, I don't know if you cared for me to talk about that. I had requested a position, a clerical position, to be added this year. I was looking at somebody that could work 24 hours a week at OAD 3, Step 1. This position was funded back in 2020, and it was cut in we didn't refill it in 20, and it was just continued to be cut in 21 and 22. With the increase in the number of employees, the increase in number of tax bills, and just the increased demands on the office for some of the research type things that are going on, that are kind of burdening my office right now. I was hoping to fill that position again because the day-to-day, I do the payroll, I do all the benefits, I do all the employee type things with bills and stuff like that myself personally. Lisa, the other person in the office, does all the posting of all the tax bills, and it's just us two. So we're very slim, and the town continues to grow. So I was hoping to have somebody come in just as a payroll HR position to do the payroll, actually process it, and do some of the onboarding paperwork and check the HR bills and stuff like that. But,
Can I make one? I want to make one comment. Once you're done with this, let me make a comment. Okay. So in most towns, we, a town administrator, town manager, whatever it is, put together a small financial team to kind of finalize the budget before it would come to you guys, right? In most towns, that usually includes the town administrator or manager, the treasurer collector, a lot of times the assessor, because they put together the mill rate or the assessment rate, tax rate, and the other one is the town accountant. And that's sort of, wherever I've gone, that's always the team that we put together to review budget. Here, my town accountant isn't available, he's not here, he's not in here. The assessor's office, I don't have an assessor that's here. The treasurer collector, when I went to her to kind of get her to be part of this process, she don't have time because she's doing administrative work all the time. So she can't be part of that management team, which is really what she should be. And she helps. Yeah,
it's not as much
so
as
she helps. The other thing, like when we negotiate contracts, one of the things is usually the treasurer or the accountant works to analyze what a cost of a potential negotiation might be. So if they want, some kind of benefit in their budget, an increase in payroll or boots or, school costs, usually that analysis is done by the treasurer collector or the town accountant, which I don't have either. So I have to rely more on department heads, like the police chief helped me a lot this year and the fire chief to do that. But typically, that's part of what a treasurer would do that, in this town, because we just don't have the resources, we don't have that. And that's a negative to be able to have that person to bounce it off of and to be able to talk about that. So I just wanted you to be aware, if she had this kind of staff, and we've talked a lot about this, that she would be able to do more management aspects, more analysis of things than she can currently do given her capabilities. I just kind of want you to understand what we're lacking by not having somebody do the actual staff work. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So, moving on. Treasurer purchase services. I know at one of your last meetings last week, because originally I had asked for, let's see, when did we go back to?
Where are you?
For the purchase services, which we had talked about the software upgrade that I added, because they originally asked for a certain amount. We did, actually in the process of doing an upgrade to our software now because of some issues that we had. We were able to squeeze out the $1,000 that it's costing for this year out of our budget to do the upgrade, and then add it to our budget for next year for this, which it's costing us $3,000 more than what I had anticipated it costing. One other last minute change that I actually got today, our software, payroll company, included with our mailing of our invoices, or our paychecks today, included a letter that said that their rates were going up. That was yesterday. It came in with the envelopes, with the paycheck. Sorry, and I had to calculate it out. It's about $1,000 increase to this line item based on all that. And I can give you all that information. But it would make this line 24,004. And I have like this, just like the resubmission. I don't know if you want that, but I can email you all of the backup that came with it. I was pretty surprised because they're increasing delivery fees. They're increasing a cost per check fee. They're increasing, let's say, direct deposit fee up a nickel. Check fee up a nickel per person.
We provide a check.
For some people don't have direct deposit. Yeah.
We allow that?
We have no choice.
Yeah, it's not, we have no choice. If people, we
Oh,
we
no.
could, you could,
Oh, no.
you
Most
could-
companies, you have to provide something, otherwise you get a
This is-
card that you can get your credit. If you don't have a bank account, you get a card, and there's
This-
no choice.
right, but that's, I mean,
That's
I think a
that's
lot
private,
of,
this is public. I
Right.
think you have to be able to get a check in the public.
Oh, I doubt that.
It's possible.
Yeah, it's hard to know.
it would have to be
Utility,
negotiated, I
it's
think, a lot of
utility, it's
the,
all,
Well,
it's
union would
all.
have to be negotiated.
the union would have to, I mean, if you were gonna require, I know when I worked for a school district, we did have to negotiate that with the contracts and stuff like that to say that
How many
was
checks do we
required.
get? Because that's a lot of money.
I don't know. I don't know off the top of my head,
Because
but I
I'm-
mean, even the direct deposit, they're increasing direct deposit
Oh, yeah,
by a
yeah.
nickel.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
increasing the checks by a nickel. So however many we do,
Yeah.
let's say.
And how do they
actually-
justify that? I mean, really, when you think about it, electronically it's moving from one place to another. Nothing's changing. The electronics aren't going up.
Right.
But how do they justify that?
Right, let's see.
They don't have to.
There hasn't
My
been
com- my
a, there
company
hasn't
went up
been a,
January 1st too.
sorry, there hasn't been a modification to our fee since July 1st, 2019. It says these increases will be minimal, impacting just some of our services, but
Could be a upgraded software maybe or something like that.
Well,
They had to pay more for
not for,
software.
no, it's already in place.
Right.
Because they're doing direct deposit now. So
Yeah.
as long as that's all working, I just don't see how they can go up. I don't see how they can justify it.
Yeah.
The other stuff,
Yeah.
paper checks and stuff, I understand that. Printing, mailing, blah, blah, blah.
well,
that
we do
stuff.
get direct deposit remittance stubs. So there is a pay, it's not like we email them out.
Yeah.
We don't email them out because that's
just hand it
an
out.
increase.
Yeah.
That's something we'd be paying them for that service,
Yeah.
that HR service too. So everything is still printed.
Okay.
Is
and
there a
give it
way,
out.
because I know my payroll company, they just started, they updated their software and my staff can go online and get their own pay stubs.
Yeah, that would be a cost increase
Of course.
over what this increase here. So, I mean, I can look into that and see if that would cost any,
I was just curious.
Yeah, that's-
How much
that's
more
my
it would be?
choice. And if I wanna do something else,
Yeah.
it's on me to print it out
right?
in my company, right? It's, you will get it electronic if you want it.
It's the same way we do it at our company,
Right.
it's all
Right.
electronic.
So
It
again-
is, I
Provides you
mean,
with
that
a
is
computer
the,
that you can use to print it out, that's
right,
it.
that is the way of that it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, I can investigate, and see, but I'm sure it's gonna be more than $1,000 increase, but I can check.
Do they handle all the HR onboarding for you?
No,
So,
I do that.
So what I would suggest for next year would look at the forms, one of the companies that does the whole thing, and then that way you've got everything all in one. Because like mine does
You mean
everything.
HR on,
They handle everything, so everything, the benefit, open enrollment is done through the payroll system. Everything, I did all my onboarding sitting behind my computer and before I started, all my forms were filled out, everything, my direct deposits, everything. I mean, it's.
if I had a
Well-
24-hour person
No.
that could continue to do the payroll and the day-to-day stuff, you know what I mean? That's,
I get it, all I'm saying is
Yeah.
that we should be, as the town grows and we need more of this,
Yeah.
we need to start looking at technology to assist us in being able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Because then, God forbid, you wanna take a vacation on a payroll week, somebody else could do it, be
yeah.
nice.
So-
I don't know that.
I know
I
that,
don't.
I get it, I do understand that.
Are we talking about efficiencies? Looking at
Yeah.
efficiencies?
Yeah.
Then maybe the select board, maybe it's more appropriate, the select board could suggest looking at the town, doing a townwide study.
Assessment.
I hate studies.
Assessment.
But assessment is probably better, of what could be modernized. I mean, I understand we're doing it all today because, well, we've always done it that way. We've been talking about that for a long time. But there may be opportunities to be able to go in and do things.
Yeah.
And
Right.
I wouldn't want Becky to go ahead and try and figure it out because,
Takes manpower.
yeah.
It does, but I mean, the nice
It's
thing
the-
is you
Yeah.
get one of those,
Yeah.
the implementation is painful.
Right.
A bit, I'm not gonna lie, it's a little bit painful, but once you're there, it helps out so much. I mean, open enrollments now, you print out papers and send them and you're done.
So there's an improved technology, I think it's called Munis now that I'm thinking about it.
Munis that's collection software and everything
I
like
thought they
that,
had
payroll
modules
and
for
stuff.
payroll, I thought they had a module for the payroll.
They do, it's very expensive.
I know, but that's
the
what
whole software.
Southbridge was doing,
Yeah.
so, there is technology available, there's a Munis software that a lot of bigger towns have, and we actually just converted Southbridge to Munis, but it was hundreds of thousands of dollars to make that transition.
Right.
And the amount of time it took for
The
the
stuff
staff
I'm
to make
talking
that
about
was.
isn't that
But that's
I work
the
for a
biggest
small
popular
company.
software throughout the towns.
Right.
Is this software called Munis,
And
big money.
And you understand, I mean, everybody understands that. It's an effort to be able to go from what you were doing to something different. But the justification comes, hopefully, that once you start using this over a period of time, the cost to do what you were doing before goes down.
Yep.
And it pays for itself. So there should be some kind of ROI that would identify this expense and this effort would be paid back in this period of time. And it justifies or it doesn't.
So every time somebody changes a bank account, they come to you, they fill out a form, you have to go in, you have to change it. That could all be done online.
Yeah.
I know.
Since
Just
you
a
run
matter
into
of
problems
uploading.
with that too when people put in the wrong account numbers.
Well,
But then,
people are
yeah,
people that-
and
But it's
you are
on them.
correct,
Then they
but
don't
then
get
it's
paid.
on them.
Yeah.
Because it can
Then you
still
get a
happen
check
because
and then-
the way they write it, or you fat finger it, and
Right.
So you're talking about because we have the option, we haven't done it, but just uploading all of your pre-employment forms, your W-2s, your.
Yeah.
You didn't even have to upload them, they're all in there, you
It's
just
all
get,
onboarding,
it's
yeah.
all,
It's just- yeah.
everything's right there. They send you a password, you can do it on your phone.
Every single payroll, it's.
Company must have.
It's not that
Yeah.
expensive.
I'm not saying it's
Yeah.
expensive, but it might be a little bit of a dance with some of the unions in this town.
So what?
Oh, well, it's all right for us to say so
Yeah.
what, but it's her that's gonna deal with it.
Yeah.
Right, all I'm saying is
And
that
I'm
some of
not-
this stuff might help. I'm not saying it would, I'm saying it might help.
Yeah.
And
But she
Yeah,
should,
it's like, so what I mean, I know this would be great to do that. I just have to, okay, what's a priority of all the things that I'm
Right.
doing? Do you want me to do
Right.
budget analysis? Do you want me to okay, now I'm gonna do HR software, that type of stuff, and I still need to reconcile all the bank accounts and stuff like that. I realize that, I'm like, okay, if we're moving this to the forefront, when we get down to the tax title, you see where I'm at, trying to collect all that, that's all on there too.
Yep.
So, where is it on the scale of all the stuff, all the priorities I got going on?
Well,
I
so
know
that-
it's gonna save me time and money
But
and
so
and
that
where to
should
go.
not be
That's the
your
problem.
responsibility. I think the feasibility study or suitability would be something that would say this is a good thing to do,
Right.
and it will save money.
Yeah.
Or no, it's going to cost us a ton of money. We're not going to get anything. You shouldn't be doing that. That should be an independent appraiser, somebody that would come in and look at it you know, we had the folks from the Geek Squad or whatever it was last night. And
Yeah, see,
I'm not suggesting them,
Oh, God, no.
but I'm suggesting that there would be people that could come in and sit down and advise.
Right.
Now, that's money
I'm also
to do that.
thinking that MMA might have some of those things that we might be able
Yeah.
to quickly look at. I don't know. All I'm saying is it's just something that's not, I work for a small company, so it's feasible for us. We're not the budget here is
If
a
you
lot
could
bigger.
find out the name of the company that you use.
Yeah,
I
I
don't know
can
if
get you all
it'll
the
apply.
information.
Again, I don't know if it'll apply to municipalities and that, because we're our own breed, you know what I mean?
No,
So
and
that kind of stuff, but-
it does all sorts, but, and then, yeah, I can send you all the information.
Is it
Just
part
to-
of your payroll company? Because
It's
I know
all
my
one.
payroll company does it.
Yeah, they do all of it, and it's nice because it's all one place. I go one place to find everything about every employee. It's great.
Ours is Paycom.
Ours is iSolved.
So the, so this increase of $1,000, how do you want me to
So you're saying
present that
So-
to you?
to change it to 24004.
No, it would be the 17, right?
17.
Be the purchase services is gonna change, right?
Yeah, but
The
She's
purchase
saying another
services
1,000.
was 2340.
I'm
Correct.
reckoning 17.
What are we looking at here? Maybe this book is running.
Treasurer collector, purchase services. I see the town administrator budget is 20,340.
right.
It's wrong in the book
What's
then.
wrong in the book then?
Well, it's not necessarily wrong, it's different. 18,436 was what the budget request was.
No,
Right.
that was a 22 budget.
Yeah,
And it was
but,
I'm sorry, that was
2340.
22, you're right.
So then
She
I,
went to
so I-
17,340.
Right.
She wants to add 1,000 change to it.
no, no,
Maybe
right.
the software change.
22, it was 18,486.
Right.
And then we went,
2023 was 20,
and then I went to 17,340.
Yep.
And added 3,000 for the Vadar software upgrade.
That's
Okay.
the software adjustment we talked about, remember that night?
Okay. And now you're saying to the 24, the 340, you want to add another $1,000 for?
Yeah, so it'd be 21,340.
Got it.
So
Yep.
that's gonna be, if you guys agree to it, that's gonna be in my budget adjustment sheet
Yep.
tomorrow. when I
Yep.
go
Yep.
and
Yep.
Update it,
Yep.
$1,000.
Do you need me to email you something in writing or the quote from
if you just send us
Marcus,
if you
stuff
just
like
send
that?
me the letter, I can send it out to everybody so that they've got it and
Okay.
make it easy. Please, I can send that out tomorrow afternoon. Is that acceptable to everyone?
Yep.
Yeah.
Before noon.
Like it before noon, I can do that.
Why, what are you doing in the afternoon?
I just want to bust her a little bit.
If you
I
can
just
have
wanna
it to me
keep
by
her-
10, I can get it to him by noon.
I
You
will.
know I'm only kidding.
8
so don't
a.m.
sweat.
8 a.m.
No, don't. Let's roll that back a little bit, ladies. Yeah, it'll be Carol stapled to my door.
That's right. On our way to work.
I did for
When you're
the,
done with this, I get a question for you. But when are you done with the town treasurer one?
well, I got supplies. Supplies are level funded and other charges are level funded. We just make that 1,300 work, even though the cost of envelopes and everything, the toners are all going up. I think, what do I have left this year in my supplies budget is like 13, wait, I just looked at it. $118 for left
Okay.
till June 30th. I'm hoping the toner makes it.
Shake it.
Oh, you do? I'm like,
Tap it
it's
on
still
the-
going. It says it's low,
You
and
ever
we're like,
shake one and it
still
sprays
going.
everywhere?
No,
It's still going.
It's
It's
bad.
amazing.
That ink does not come out when you make that mistake.
Yeah.
Are we saying we're shaking ink? Is that-
Yeah, the
The
toner
toner
cartridge.
in
You've
the
never done that?
printers, always shaking it.
No, we
Oh.
just had somebody come in to like fix our Xerox machines, and they were like, "You need to fluff the paper when you put it in." I was like, "I'm not fluffing."
It's fanning. It's just fanning. That's how
Well,
we do
that's
it.
what he said to us. You gotta fan the paper
Yeah.
before you put it. Every morning when you come in, fan the paper. I was like,
Well,
No.
"What? Is this a joke?"
Yeah.
sure. Okay, I'm done with that round
Fan with
here.
one hand, shake the toner with the other.
There you go.
So
Damn.
on this new position, and if we get asked, I don't think that's I don't have a problem with that. But how many employees are you doing some form of payroll for weekly, Becky? Just so if someone asked, we can justify it.
For payroll?
Yeah, what are you, this person would be doing a lot of your payroll stuff, right? Or some of that eventually?
Yep.
So how many people are you, how
On the
many?
payroll.
So-
How many
How many people on the payroll?
Payroll.
So let me see I actually printed off my bills because I was gonna do the math on this. For the paycheck that's coming out this week, I had 188 checks that were distributed. And lately, there's been a lot of turnover. So with the turnover, there's onboarding, offboarding, checking every bill, informing the health insurance company that somebody new is on, or going through all the paperwork with them, doing health, dental, life insurance, vision, flexible spending, and then once you get them all on there, every bill that comes in, I'm like, okay, did this person come off? Did this person go on? Did this person come on? And just and doing their deductions because they've got to pay ahead, that type of stuff. So that's.
And you're thinking about 20 hours, so 2.5 days, kind of?
24 hours a week.
24 hours, so.
Yeah, so 3 days.
3 days.
And that wouldn't make them eligible for,
That would make them.
That would make them.
that would make them eligible, okay. Yeah, because I think you gotta. if
Anything
you
over
gotta do-
19 hours.
Yep, no, I think that you gotta make it enticing to at least give them health insurance, that's where I didn't, okay,
Yeah,
perfect,
Any position over 19 hours, Darren, you have to pay the benefits to.
perfect.
Is that a municipal thing? For any municipal?
Yeah. Is that even?
That makes you eligible, it's 20 hours or more makes them eligible for retirement, which is also
Yeah.
eligible for all the
Is that a
benefits.
private sector too? I'm not sure. If you work over 19 hours a day, is that a
I don't
holiday?
think so.
It's not private
No.
sector.
Yeah,
No.
okay, so it's just municipal.
31 hours.
Been in municipal government too.
Yeah.
More than 30 hours
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
More than 30 hours is
If
required
you're-
for benefits? Okay.
If it's a chapter 32B of the Mass General Laws. But if you're eligible for after over 20 hours, if you work 180, what was that, over 20?
that's
yeah.
all right, over 20 hours, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I didn't, that 188 checks a week is a lot, that I didn't realize that's,
Well, it's not just checks, it's 180 entities that have to be serviced.
whoa,
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
There's
but
lots of stuff.
most of those entities don't need servicing on a regular basis. There's a lot of peak.
Adding
There's a lot of
and
peak
subtracting
now.
and-
Right.
but there's a lot of, there's logistics that have to happen for
Right.
her every week, so I can't,
Every 2 weeks.
yeah, but, all right.
It's bi-weekly.
There's a lot of just go through the process, even in the hiring process and interviewing candidates, there's a lot of work involved in the whole HR process.
Yeah, I don't actually, the interview, see, that's where
Oh,
we
that's
split
my
up the things, I don't do the interviewing for position, or posting positions and that type of stuff, so that may be something that if this position was, if we were to hire somebody in this position, could do the posting and that
Once they
type
get
of
trained
stuff.
on how to do all the other stuff.
Right, exactly,
In
exactly.
fact, all the hiring stuff comes out of my office, so I do all the interviews with the particular department head that we're hiring for. So if it's dispatch, Mike Moriarty will come in with me. And usually what we do is the department head's limited down to the top 5 or something, then we interview the top 5.
Okay.
But it's a time-consuming process.
I'm good.
I did just want to say thank you for approving the Vadar upgrade, because that is.
Saving you time?
We're having issues.
Is it
Well,
better
it's not, we're actually migrating on the 28th.
Okay.
So next Thursday, they're shutting everything off at 3, they're pulling all our data up, but we had a training this week, so.
Okay.
So hopefully that'll
Good.
eliminate some of the issues that we were having, so.
The do and redo, you don't like that?
No, that's was not comfortable.
No, I don't blame
It was
you.
not comfortable.
I don't blame you one bit.
Things were not where they were supposed to be.
Text title next to it. What
Tax
about
title
Well, can I
foreclosure.
still ask questions about this?
Sure, go right ahead.
Okay. So when I look at this budget, that new position is not in there. We decided whether that's in, not in, or just up
It's
for
out.
consideration.
All of
It's
these are out. That, the librarian, all the positions that were put in new are out. But I put them on my budget presentation because I wanted you guys all to see that it's important. These are needed positions, but none of them are in the budget. They were all cut.
So this might be a dumb question, but the treasurer assistant, is that a half-time position?
No, that's full-time.
That's
Yeah,
full-time.
the 5120,
37
you mean
37 and a
145,
half hours.
5120.
5120,
Yeah, the 50,641.
okay,
Yeah, she's 37 and a half hours a week,
got it.
So I guess,
and she does all the tax posting and reconciliation
maybe I'm missing something.
receivables. Sorry.
Go ahead.
How, these sheets in our book, other than the front page, some are one way, some are another way. They're not, maybe I'm wrong, correct me if I'm saying wrong, they're not all the same. Because Ted pulled up a good point. I thought this was what we were going with,
So,
but we're not, because now I have to go back to the sheet. So basically where I was going last night is still the same thing. This book
no.
is,
So, let me explain, Darren, so the budget book, all the information you get is the request from the departments. You guys wanted to know what the departments requested. All of that is the documents in the budget book.
but some of them,
Yeah, let
excuse me
answer.
1 second, but some of them, didn't you put what you put in and it was the final number at the end?
Some of them, so most of my changes are in the town administrator, in the full budget document spreadsheet, that's where most of my changes are. However, after the departments presented their budgets to me, and we went through the budgets, they put it in the budget book, and then before, I had the budget books all developed, and the department heads come in and say, I wanna change this, I wanna change that, I wanna change this, before it goes to the finance committee. So there were some changes made in the budget book to reflect changes after their original budget presentations. So there's a little bit of stuff that you're seeing that was changed after the books were pretty much done as last minute changes by department heads. And that was, but all of that's reflected in the full budget sheet, shows you the last totals and the adjustments that I did. In the budget books, what I asked the department heads to do for these positions, because I wanted it to be discussed and I wanted the committee to be aware of what they asked for, because those positions, at least in my opinion, are needed, but we can't afford them, so we just cut them. But I wanted the finance committee to be aware of all those positions. So you're gonna see those in the budget book. And then you'll see, if you look at the sheet, you'll see the reduction from that position in the full budget presentation spreadsheet.
I understand it, but
So-
it's misleading.
But so, to Darren's point, there's an incongruity between the documents of what was requested and what the budget request is.
Because all the departments aren't the same.
Right. So, I think that it would be appropriate if we were to look to try and establish a standard template for what gets presented, how it gets presented. Everything is consistent, everything is the same, so we can follow it through everyone. And then the other suggestion that I would have is, instead of trying to do it, I think the budget books are great, they have a lot of information. But if the day after the budget books are presented, or prepared and sent out, if those budget books are now out of date, I think we need a way to be able to make sure that we get information out there that gets this data to be in agreement with what's in the spreadsheet. And we're doing that all. This
see,
young
I
lady
didn't-
here does all that now, putting it all in the Google Drive. So I think that if there's a change here, using a standard format, if there's a change here, that change gets up and replaces what's out there on the Google Drive, and then that should reflect this.
Okay, so Tom, let me add to your comment here, right? Because once I hand you the books, this is a discussion I had with the selectmen, once I distribute the budget to the finance committee, I'm not allowed to make any more changes to it. It is up to the finance committee to make any changes.
Correct.
So the day I hand you the book and the day I send you the spreadsheets, at that point, I have to come to you with any changes. What I've said to my department is, if they have changes from that point forward, those have to be discussed in these hearings.
Right, and I'm not disputing that,
that's
that's the
not-
right thing to do. But what you're saying, what I'm hearing is that you get the request.
Yep.
It goes into the budget, or it gets the change into your
What I
budget.
change, right.
And then this is not in agreement.
This is the department head request now.
No, I understand
Mine
that.
only shows up in the full presentation for the most part with some exceptions.
Right, but see, the whole thing here is that there's a lot of good data here.
Yeah.
And so, we would like to be able to, I would think, we would like to be able to see what the data is that agrees to what's in this form.
Well, it might make it less confusing as we're discussing this. Is you know how you have the front of your budget for each department, you have the budget presentation says
Right.
department head request?
Right.
Probably what I should do there, maybe what we do in the future, is put the town administrator change there in the next box so that you can see in each department the town administrator instead of having to refer to the larger document.
So,
That may be the best way to make it easier.
that becomes, I think, the solution
Template.
to get this in agreement. And if it's a standard template, then we're not asking these questions.
And it just adds that column for the town administrator's report in the front of every department, that's what it does.
Okay.
It just means more work, you have to do it not only in the spreadsheet, but I'll have to add another column in each department as we do it, which is not that big a deal.
No.
I just gotta change the format, that's not the
You
format.
don't even have to do that, you leave that as is, and you just parse out this one.
I can put a separate page with just my adjustment, right, I can do it that way too.
So,
Can't you put an
It's easier to compare side by side,
just an
but
additional
a
column,
sub-sheet.
information after?
no, if they
Suggestion?
change their department request,
Yep.
they should be preparing for you enough for the selectmen and enough for us to put into our book,
Right,
period, end of
right.
story.
Well-
Because that's the only way that we're gonna have the information to go back.
So I find myself often, remember, we're creating 14 or 15 books, whatever the books are, right? So I'll have all the books done, me and Beth will have them all done, they're in a box. Then all of a sudden, Joe Buckley, who was, I don't know, say the biggest offender, but his budget changed before it, especially water and sewer and stuff. He comes to us and says, these are the adjustments, you know, the couple of days before I give them to you. And I find myself, we find ourselves in our department trying to change every book to update that thing. And we do pretty well, but I'm not gonna say we're perfect at it because it's these last minute changes that generally get us all screwed up.
Then, I mean,
It's
down
because-
the road, you know, as I'm saying, you know, technology assists us, it'd be really nice if it was all electronic.
Oh, it sure would be.
That would be really
Yep,
nice if it
I
was
agree.
all electronic and we could just kind of go through it because, you know, this,
It's-
every year it's an awful lot of paper that we just all throw away.
You would be surprised at, by the time we kind of get the books mostly done, how many changes there are by how many different departments before I give you those books.
Right.
Because the police
no.
department got a new person on the
oh,
lease.
no,
and
I'm
it's
very well aware.
It's constantly changing. And we really do try to update it. That's why, you know, when Darren was talking about it last night, it's a little frustrating because I know how often me and Beth are trying to fix all the books for everybody. And you know, I know we miss things. We might put it in the background information, but not put it in the spreadsheet or, you know,
It's
I wish it was a better system, but these books, I think, and to be honest with you, looking at the history of the town, looking at past books, these are the most informative books I think you guys have ever had. in the last few years. From what I can tell from past books.
No, I can tell you that these templates that you use for all the departments,
Well, those are mostly the ones that were there.
I know the ladies who did them, myself and another member
Yeah,
of the
they were
finance
mostly
committee
there.
that did them.
I'm talking about background stuff. I'm
And
not
we've
talking
been doing
about
this for years. We don't get the front piece, but that we've always,
And I'm not talking about, you're right, the spreadsheet, I think is,
the
Yeah,
spreadsheet
me
and
work.
the
We made some
data.
adjustments with the
We've been
spreadsheet
doing,
itself.
that was Ted's.
I think this is my 11th year, I
I
think.
agree with you.
I'm talking about this.
And we've had books like this for all 11
Yeah, but
years.
they didn't have nearly as much information, because I looked at them, they were half the size of
I
these.
disagree,
Okay,
but
that's fine.
I just know, I mean,
Okay.
we always got the same kind of information. The
Same
people
style.
always gave us the same information that we're getting.
I guess I would like Darren,
Yes.
the dumbest guy in the room. I'm gonna say that, no, but hear me out. I just want to say that I would, if we're gonna put this down here,
Yeah.
I would like to know that right next to it, that the TA budget is here.
Right next to it.
So when right after it, so on the last line, Becky writes the second to the last in this.
Right.
So,
And then we can flip going through the computer.
I
And if
know.
it was live, it would be
hold
perfect.
on,
would make
deep
it
breath.
easier.
All I'm saying is now, he just parses this out and puts this in with Becky's section, and you've got everything, and then he's only doing it once instead of
What do you mean,
twice.
copy and pasting that section and trying to put it next to the?
Print area, and it's
Oh,
easy.
just print the page for that area and
Yeah.
put it in the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that too, that's a quicker way.
And then
right?
that way you're only doing it once.
I see what she's saying, just
not-
use the same sheet and put it right in the front.
Right.
That could work.
I'm not
That could work.
arguing.
Cause then
I'm
that way
just
it's
saying-
there. Because otherwise that way he's gotta type it in twice, and there's more chances of
Well, where
error.
I'm going with this is I think that she should have the position.
I
I think
get
it's 24 hours is, I think,
Derek.
I think it's a great idea. It's one of them things, 188 checks
I think he
bi-weekly.
thinks it's his retirement job.
No.
But you would
No,
see
Jen.
it on
But
the.
where I'm going with is I just wish,
Yeah, you don't
this
have to.
book is misleading to me. I know,
Because you think you can still discuss it, but it's already been cut in the budget
Right.
as it's
correct.
balanced,
And
whatever.
I know that,
Cut out.
I can go here, or I can look over at Alex's computer,
and see that
or
it's
if
already
I'm,
done. Yeah.
I can do it on mine. But
already-
it just,
It's easier for
between
the same side.
friends here, there's
Right.
3 or 4 different places I gotta go look for crap.
Yeah, so
Right,
we
whereas
can-
if he parsed this out and put it in the front, you'd stick
Could
right
be a
out
see
saying
what
it's
it
a
is,
24 and it's not there.
That's the easiest way, I think, what Karen's recommending. And make it easier to just do that. But Karen, you're right, and
Because otherwise you're doing it twice,
Yeah.
and then that doesn't make any sense.
And I can almost guarantee that there's a guy that's not here tonight, sitting across the room, that would agree 155%. You know, he's gonna be like, oh my God, melting down when he sees this, and then he already knows that it's not there.
Yeah.
And I can't blame him.
And if that was the front page, here was the front page there, you'd see what the difference
He'd
is.
be like, boom, done.
Right there. Yep, I agree.
I would just add an extra, that's not a big deal.
Yep.
You know, because you could
Oh,
name
the
those
position?
segments.
No, not to,
Just print
so
out
Dave,
the name.
just so you know,
As a collector.
the
Prints
same
out a
argument you
separate
can
page.
make for that position, that it really is
I would
needed.
change this whole.
I think you can make that argument for any of the positions.
It was
above,
different.
because they're all
I would
needed.
change it. I would
The
not.
town
have these
accountant position, the
independent
part-time
individual
assistant to the
lines.
town accountant,
It was
we used to
supposed
have that, and it got
all
eliminated, that's just as important as
all
what
the
the
different
practice
lines
position
summed
is.
up.
So you need that too, the
I have
DPW worker, we are
Suggestions.
so short on DPW workers, that's another position I wanted to do, but I cut them. And I put them initially in my budget, and then I had to come on back out,
No,
because I didn't have the
no, I
money.
didn't say it would. I
But
said I
I
could.
think all of them
We
are
did it.
just as
I
important.
did, last year I did.
We have a senior center director that's
I
there
did it.
part-time, so the senior center,
Oh,
we should
so
have a
you
full-time
did.
senior center director.
Me
But the
and
building should be
Debbie did
open
these forms.
8 hours a day,
I
right?
did.
The same is true of the children's library, you should
I'm
have a
not gonna-
full-time children's
I'm not gonna
library,
bog this thing
and be
down
there
now.
for the
I
day
can
hours of the library, we don't have it.
Create a
It's just-
spreadsheet. That's
Those
a
are all,
database
to
that
me,
does
important positions,
a lot.
that's why I
He
wanted to
does
talk
now
about them, I
pulling
wanted to
stuff
have
out and
it
summing it.
raised, but I think you're
Real
right,
easy.
I just don't know where to
Anyway.
get the money from.
I'm ready, I'm
Okay,
good.
tax title, are we ready to move on?
Can I just, real quick, where does the benefit costs, like the health insurance and stuff, go into play? Because obviously it's not.
There's a total line in the healthcare line for everything, but those positions, because they're not in the budget,
Those will
they're not in it.
be later on tonight.
But there's a healthcare line at the very bottom of your
Okay.
Excel spreadsheet, you'll see a healthcare line.
Okay.
It takes care of the benefits for all.
Medicare.
They don't
regular
break
town
it out into
employees.
the different.
No, it's a one line for
No,
everybody, right.
it's one line.
Okay.
So you
And I'll-
don't actually see the per person cost.
Or per department cost.
Yeah.
we don't.
Yeah.
Right, that stuff's nice to know.
Yeah,
Right.
And
So
that
I'll
change-
go over that, I'll show you how I calculate it.
That changes all the time because some people
Yeah,
change
no,
from
I
single
get it.
plans to family plans.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with, but
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Tax title,
thank you.
you ready?
Yep.
Ready, moving
What
on.
number is it? Sorry.
158 is
Yep,
the
got it.
group.
Thanks.
I level funded it, just so, I don't know if you guys want, I do have a printout
Yes,
of everything that's out there, I'll give it to,
Yeah, and I can
Karen.
scan that and I'll send it over to everybody tomorrow.
right now we have
The top one's missing, it's been on
100.
there forever.
Exactly, it's on, this actually is not in numerical order, I just ran it right quick out of our software. We have 100 accounts in tax title. This includes the latest, we just moved five properties into tax title for non-payment of 2020 taxes. So we're current on the collector side through 2020.
Does everybody understand what tax title is? Everybody familiar with it? Anybody want to know what it means? Because we're just kind of assuming you understand what this is.
Okay.
So this is a citizen owns a property,
You want me to explain?
and they have, yeah, go ahead, you can do it, you're the treasurer, go ahead.
You're the
My
expert.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
So if people don't pay
He had a nice word.
people don't pay their
please.
taxes, they have, we
Please.
actually allow 2 years anybody who didn't pay their 2020 taxes, we actually put a lien on their property. It moves off of the collector's books, which gains interest at 14%, and it moves into a tax title area, which all the subsequent years that they haven't paid goes into that, and it just keeps adding for every year that they don't pay their taxes. And in tax title, it gains interest at 16%. But the town puts a lien on the property so that if they go to sell it, their title isn't clear, and the town actually gets when it's paid first, whenever if they try to sell the property. So when I started, there was
A lot.
there was more.
A lot.
There was a lot more here. We did a lot of work cleaning things up. It's still very high. Most of the properties in here are land of low value properties. They're the little tiny pieces that were sold at poker games down at Cool Sandy Beach.
My
Right? Yeah.
dead mother-in-law had one of those.
Right. So a lot of the people that have those are, as you look at the smaller amounts in here, they just don't want them, so they just don't pay them, or people don't. So, but in order to get them off of the tax title list, I actually have to go through the foreclosure process and foreclose on the property. It goes into taxes in possession, and then we have to sell it at auction.
So if you've seen the auctions that we do on town properties, that's what the result of it is. And that sometimes could be a significant revenue. For instance, the one across the street on Main Street near Dunkin' Donuts, that was a $250,000 plus revenue. So this tax title work she's doing goes to eventually, potentially, revenue that ends up falling into free cash.
Has that cleared through all the hurdles over there yet?
Yeah, that one
Oh,
is
yeah,
just
it's done.
finished.
I don't know, I guess
2 weeks
nobody
ago.
told. You didn't
talked
pull that
about it.
email yet?
He did say it,
did
he
talk
just
about
doesn't always listen.
Yeah,
Maybe I
so
was out that night.
it actually closed on
The 24th.
March.
It's 200.
What was it? It was $220,000, and it closed on March 4th, I believe.
I thought it was the 24th.
So that-
It's not important which day.
No, it was March 4th, because it
gone.
got pushed out
Oh,
another 2 weeks,
okay.
because
So
we
I'm
didn't
like-
get a signed document.
All
Yeah.
I know is that the day it cleared, I was like, woo!
But
will
that takes a lot of
eventually
your
fall into
time to
free
do
cash.
Well,
Oh, it
so
does.
that was the point that I was going to, because you're
Yes.
talking
Oh.
about tax titles and payroll. So I'm,
Yeah.
I'm starting to look at this holistically and say, for your group of people, it seems like they're doing a lot of work.
There's
And
two of us.
it would be interesting to know with the people that you have, what the scope of work is and how much time it takes your two people to complete all of that. And then what is it that is not getting done? What's the risk? You know
So,
what I mean? That's...
yes, and there are 100 properties in here. If I had more time, this would be a wonderful thing to just keep moving to land court. There was with COVID and everything, this whole process slowed down completely. So I didn't move things over to the land court. So if you look at what I didn't expend last year, it's because nothing was moving through the courts, through land court. So I'm like, all right, and I was trying to resolve the whole 259 Main Street thing. So I could be more aggressive with this, but this, again, gets shuffled to the bottom, because every 2 weeks I'm doing bills and payroll, and then,
Well,
that kind of stuff, so.
To Darren's point, the position you're looking for sounds like it's a reasonable thing to be able to get, because
Right.
this activity, just this activity, tax title,
Yeah, it goes,
for us.
I mean.
makes money for us.
Yeah, it
Tie
does.
into that,
Yeah.
Tommy, is what I was telling you about the management stuff.
Yeah.
She
No, I
can't do
understand.
some of the management stuff because she's doing
Right.
this stuff. And she can't work on time. There's so many things that we're missing by not having a
Right.
proper level
We
of
just need
service.
to have people pay their taxes on time, and you wouldn't have that.
There you go.
have
Well, I
That is
will
a-
say that for the ones I just put in, so we aggressively on the collector side,
Right.
for the people that didn't pay 2020, there was only
Scary.
5 properties. There was only 5 parcels that we moved into.
On another note,
Um,
you get 14% interest on that money, so
Yeah,
it's
that's
not a
true.
bad deal.
Right, so we
No,
collected like 3, actually it was gonna be 8, we collected 3 of them at the last minute. He's like, what, so he came in and paid it.
You get 14% interest if they ever pay.
Yeah, if they-
Oh, yeah,
Right.
for those that we've
Right.
had.
When-
That's still significant money.
Right.
It is if they pay.
And you'll see on the list there, we
On the
do
foreclosure, you
have,
get it in foreclosures.
we do have like 4 or 5 people that are in payment agreements, and we will work with them. We have a bylaw that sets up payment agreements for people that are in tax title.
Sure.
Because the goal is not to take your house, you know what I mean?
Right.
If you fall behind, I wanna work with them and I wanna set up payment agreements. But to do that, I have to be more aggressively sending out letters and hunting these, being like, can you come in, can you set up a payment agreement?
There's also
that sort of
restrictions
stuff,
on
so-
citizens that can't get permits and stuff if their taxes are behind, so.
Right.
For
There's
people
a lot
that
of
are
pressure to
on
make them pay.
that list that are accruing interest, that are on payment plans with you, are they still accruing interest, or do you forego the interest while they're on a payment
No,
plan?
I can't waive interest.
Can't.
Yeah.
State law requires everybody to pay the same.
There is, in our bylaw, if somebody is in arrears more than 10 years, I can give them a 25% discount off of the interest. If they, well, no, I'm sorry. If they have to pay 25% upfront of the entire thing, I can give them, based on the outstanding amount, I don't know the bylaw off the top of my head, but it reduced, I can reduce it, and then they have to pay it off within 5 years. We have a specific bylaw for payment agreements that are in tax title for more than 10 years, because we had quite a few people that were in there for many years, and we did clear up some of that, so.
Paul's got it, Mom.
I will say that
Told me that before.
I'm a little less aggressive with putting people into tax title, because most people, like if, at the end of 2021, they send out demands, and if they're not paid, their 2021 is moving into tax title. I do everything, I work with people through, you know, I'm kind of like a year behind other towns. So next year, we'll be putting anyone who hasn't paid their 2021 taxes into tax title, so.
So you get 2 years for free. No, I'm
Yeah,
kidding.
exactly.
So-
They still gain interest.
I'm kidding.
You had that fund
Last
for
year
the
we
last
had
2 years to get that 2 years,
tough
right?
budget. And one of the things that we did was we went down and we said, we should do an impact statement that says, when this doesn't get funded, this is the impact, this is what you're gonna see. And I'm not suggesting that you do that now, because I don't think that we're in that dire situation.
Right.
But it wouldn't be a bad idea to keep a little crib note someplace that says, without this person here, I won't be able to do this, and it's gonna cost this. Just as when you come in next year, you're gonna be able to put on and say, you know what?
Yeah,
You know,
right,
FYI.
right. So. So that's that.
Anything else on tax title, anybody? Okay, postage?
I level funded postage for we are sending out more bills, obviously. Right now, the balance in FY '22 for the 19,000 that we have for postage, I have $3,800 left to the end of the year that should get us through. So, barring any major increases in postage, which I haven't heard much, I don't know, that's always fluctuating here and there.
Right.
But we still have to mail bills to people. It's not, we do have a lot of people that'll call and say, can you send me an email copy? And we do that out of the software, so. But we level funded the postage at 19,300. That actually pays for the actual stamps or mailing things out. The other amount, the purchase services, is for the rental of the mail machine and our bulk mail permit. That's it. Any questions on postage?
Machine and paper supplies? Woo-hoo.
That's paper.
Yes.
Paper, and what do we pay? Under purchase services, it's the maintenance agreement for our copier that is in the town hall. And all the supplies and everything for that, and all town paper that fills that machine.
So that paper is just for that copy machine?
It says,
$2,700 is just for that copy machine?
no, well,
Oh, $950, excuse me.
$950, so much.
I read, my eyes jumped up to the next one.
Yeah, no, $950 is for the paper, we use it in our office, the clerk uses it, it's kinda
Okay.
like our building.
So it's, okay,
It's the
thank you.
building.
That's what I
Yeah.
wanna make sure of. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah, it's the building.
Okay.
questions.
All right, so the next one is debt.
Benefits. Benefits and insurance.
Yep.
Our Worcester County assessment, we had a 9.58% increase, which was pretty significant, but if I looked at all of the, we did get a report that had all the towns, they all are increasing about between 9 and 10% this year. Again, it's salaries going up, that type of
Unfunded liability.
unfunded liabilities and all that stuff. We do take advantage of, we pay the entire appropriation on July 1st, which gives us a 2% discount, but we do that consistently, so that's pretty much, we can't really control that.
Let me make a comment here, because this is important to understand. And some of the members here will understand, some won't, because they're being new. So retirements for years were underfunded across the board, right? So they didn't 100%, according to the actual studies, fund people's retirements. So years ago, the state passed a law requiring you to fully fund pension plans. And the towns were all set to, I think it's a 20-year schedule, Beth?
Yeah.
Like a 20-year schedule to get to fully fund their pension plans. So not only are you paying current costs of retirement, we're actually paying to fund retirements, fully funding over a 20-year schedule to get us up to where we're fully funding it. Does that make sense? So this is not just a current problem, it's a historical problem that's, and these things are done by the retirement group, in this case Worcester Regional, whatever it is, the retirement center.
It's a bunch of actuaries sitting around a table.
Yeah, they're doing this
deciding
according to the
That's how
actuary.
that's done.
So
When
none
I
of
say
it-
pension, that's exactly,
they-
it's.
So none of it's adjustable, it's just, these are numbers we get, we have to put in the budget, it's completely out of our control, and it's fixing a problem. And eventually, this is gonna happen with the OPEB benefits as well, other post-employment benefits, health care. So it's not yet, but that's our next big problem that we're gonna be addressing in this same kind of fashion.
I will say that this was a revaluation year, so they take a snapshot of everybody that's in the system every 2 years. So this new valuation is based on evaluation results as of January 1st, 2020. The previous 2 years were as of January 1st, 2018. So every 2 years they take a snapshot of who's in the system, who's active, who's disabled, who's all the retirees. I can send you the breakdown if you want more paper.
No, thank you.
But it's a big actuarial piecing together of the salaries and where everybody works and what their age is and that type of stuff to calculate this amount. And they take a snapshot of the actual counts of people once every 2 years.
So this is catch up and current.
Correct.
When it goes to just current, what would this number be?
Well, it's gonna change according to the actual study, it'll go down dramatically. But till
That's-
they catch up, the answer is we don't know.
20 years.
So you
Yeah,
said
but
20
yeah, you're
years,
probably
but when
talking
did
another
it start?
18
No, but I
years
understand
away.
that, I'm just saying that,
Yeah.
we've
18
got a
years
lot of
away,
debt out there. that's
once
gonna
it's
run
fully
out.
funded, this will go away. And like I said, what will change is we'll be doing OPEB the same way.
Okay.
He said
So we'll be
18
picking
years.
up a new problem, Tom.
Okay, all right, got it.
18 more years?
So it
Yeah,
only
it's a
started
long
it
time
only
for
started
the-
2 years ago?
I'm sorry?
This only started 2
No,
years
how
ago?
long did it start?
No,
You gotta be-
I don't know off the
I wanna
top of
say
my
it was
head.
2015,
It's a
2016, but I
while.
could be wrong.
Maybe it's 15, I'm not sure what the number is.
It wasn't,
I'm just
it
guessing,
it wasn't that long ago, we still have a long ways to
but
go.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
a long
And
way.
pensions,
And they pushed
this
it
is a
out, yeah.
chronic issue with pensions. You said we pay it all up front, so we get a 2% discount? Is that in this number, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
It
so I
has-
want-
And it's in the historical number.
That's what I
above, 'cause
figured,
we
but I-
take it every single
Perfect.
time. I'm like,
Yep.
why
So
don't
Because
we?
I
always-
remember we pay that, that's one of the
Yeah.
first things we pay, so
Yeah.
I remember.
It's always the same.
But
so
what's
doesn't-
frustrating here,
it's
guys,
good.
just to understand, is this ties into the whole Proposition 2.5 issue, right? So if we can only increase taxes by 2.5 according to property assessments, when you get increases at 7, 8, 9%, it totally screws up our budget. And that's one of the things I don't understand, how the state doesn't exempt certain things, because they require us to pay 9% a year in pension benefits, and then we still have to live under 2.5. It just doesn't make sense, but that's the reality, those uncontrolled expenses that we don't have any control over.
It's Massachusetts?
And it's unfunded mandates, get used to it. So how's the health insurance coming along?
So we're looking at 7.5% increase on health, a 0.79% increase on dental. And those are the things, the town contributes 75% of that cost. The employees pay 25% for the retirees as well, 75-25 split. I've had one meeting with the Insurance Advisory Committee. Last year, we made an adjustment to our plan where we added a deductible for the first time to the plan. The Insurance Advisory Committee recommended against doing that because we were looking at a 6.8% increase last year. By changing the plan and adding a deductible of $250 for an individual, $750 for a family, we reduced the increase to a 0.42%, which saved us last year 40-something thousand in the budget.
Yep.
The Insurance Advisory Committee did not want to add the deductible, and I actually had our first meeting, and I had 2 people show up that are on the committee, so I'm not getting a lot of feedback from the Insurance Advisory Committee. My recommendation, because this amount, actually, I reran the numbers with our current enrollment. The number that's, what number do you have in the budget?
So in the budget book, this is one of those,
865,471.
but this is one of those adjustments. This number in here is at the 10%.
Yeah, the 8, I
Not long
think in this
ago,
it says
we got
870.
it changed to put it to 8%. So the budget in my recommendation right now is 8. We expect that to drop to 7 point something, which is gonna save us another $2,000, but we're not there yet until we finish with the advisory committee.
Right.
But this is another one of those late numbers that come in after Maya had their big meeting. They gave us a number, and that's why it changed from when Becky originally gave it to me.
So right now, I reran the numbers with the actual enrollment as of February 18th, and I build in a contingency of like one family plan in case somebody loses it, and there's so many fluctuations. It's kind of like the actuarial report where there's so many fluctuations of people coming on and off, and we lost a family plan, but we gained 2 individual plans, you know, that as people are hired and whatnot. So right now, the number with a 7.5% increase and a 0.79 increase in dental is 863. So,
Which is not yet in the budget book because we're waiting for that to be finalized. And that's why I put the adjustment on your budget adjustment sheet, but I didn't put the number in because until we finish with the AIC, it's not done. But we believe it's done, but we don't want to give you a number and change again, so we're waiting to finalize that.
So what Maya did, Maya is our health insurance provider. They did give us quotes for what would reduce that increase of 7.5%. The only things that would reduce it, one of them was to increase the deductible. From right now it's $250, $750, and this was the first year in it. If we reduced it to $300, $900, $300 for an individual, $900 for a family, it would reduce the increase to 6.96. If we increased the deductible to $500 and $1,000, it would reduce the increase to 4.92.
So to give you guys some perspective on that, last year, the AIC was against the change, right? But the Board of Selectmen agreed to move it forward because we needed the savings for last year's budget, right? That 40 grand. So Becky, as part of what she did this year, she calculated how the employees were impacted by the changes we made last year. And most of the employees saved money because they would have had to pay like a 7.5% increase, and they paid a 0.42%. So most of all the employees saved money. Those few employees who needed health services and had to pay the deductible, I think there was 3 if I remember.
7.
7. Those people had to pay a little bit more for the deductible, but most employees ended up saving a significant amount of money. How much did each employee save, do you remember?
But, well, it was like $150 for an individual plan and $350 for a family.
So AIC is a town
So,
Committee?
Members
bas-
of different departments.
right, it's a Mass General Law, part of the insurance, 32B section. Requires that you kind of run everything by, create an insurance advisory committee. There's a member from each of the unions, each of the 5 unions.
Okay.
There's a member that represents non-union employees, and there's a member for retirees.
Okay.
We also have Maya comes in and presents to us, and we have a health agent, Brian Boyle from the Boyle Group, that kind of helps us if we need to, if we get too high of an increase, we will go out and to bid. I mean, we have in the past, we were with Maya, they came in with a huge, like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yep,
They came in with a huge increase, we went out to bid and switched to Fallon.
yep.
We were with Fallon for 2 years. Fallon was going through the roof, and we went back to Maya because they matched the rates, and
So does AIC have veto power over?
No.
no.
They don't even
They're
have
a
any power.
they're
It's just
a recommendation.
All right, so, and does is our deductible in line with what companies or other towns are
Yeah.
doing? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, most health insurance companies, or most companies have a deductible
Right.
on their health insurance plan. It's scary, I guess you could say, when you have never had a deductible. It's like, what is this gonna, I'm gonna have to pay $250 every time I go to the doctors and that type of stuff. So the employees were not, they were nervous that it was just gonna be, okay, we'll start with this deductible, then you're gonna increase it next year, you're gonna increase it the year after that. So that's where the balking came
The fear comes
on it,
in.
How
yeah.
many people are on health plans? Do you know?
59. We have
And
59
there's-
people enrolled.
And there's
yeah.
a $77,000 increase year over year.
Year over year?
This year versus last year.
This year versus last
And
year.
the
Oh, this
statutory
year, yeah,
premium is
yeah, it's about
75,000.
75,000. Yeah, with this new, the number that I read.
So
it's about
do we do
75.
anything on higher deductibles? Do we look at higher deductibles?
That's what we were talking about.
Well, even higher than
The
that.
union doesn't, the AIC members don't
I'm going
wanna go.
somewhere. I know.
They did higher
I
deductible
get
last
it.
year, they don't wanna go to another.
What do you
higher
mean,
deductible.
did you look at,
Did you look at like a 1,000, 2,000 deductible or 2,000?
No.
4,000?
no,
So you could also, I mean, looking at what the costs are, a $77,000 increase or 80,000, whatever it is, for what did you say, 40 employees roughly,
59.
5960. So if the town were to put in $500 into an HRIS
Yeah.
to pay for the
Yeah.
deductible,
We actually, right now, we do contribute $150 to the flexible spending plan. That's part of
This is
it.
HRIS would be a
This is
health.
different, this is putting in
Health.
for savings.
So it's
Right.
to pay for the deductible, so if my math is, it actually, I think, would save money if the town put in part of the deductible for the savings on the other side, I'm guessing.
That's what my company does.
Yeah.
I
Sometimes
have
do
to
that.
pay the first $500 of my $3,000 deductible. After I do that, the company reimburses me the rest,
Yeah.
and it's through this, and we save money
Right.
every year versus the increase.
Right, I
That's
think
exactly what it
my calculation, if we increased it to 500 to 1,000 deductible without doing that, the increase would be 61,000. So then if you're saying,
The town
Add-
gives, $250 of that. So the increase,
That would
we're
be a-
currently at $750, right? That we.
for a family, oh, no, we contribute $150 to their.
No, I'm sorry,
like-
the
that's
current
like-
deductible, what's the current deductible?
250, 750.
Right, so you're going up to 1,000 for a family, so it's a $250 increase, right?
Mhm.
So if the town paid that $250 for all 59 members, it would still be less than the increase, I believe.
Yeah, but depending upon, you're not gonna get the full savings of that increase, you're gonna get part of the savings. So you'd have to calculate out and see what if it would be a savings or not. I don't.
I think you did.
I think I did. There would be a savings,
There
I
would be a
believe.
savings.
Yeah, it could be, it's not gonna be the full amount.
Because
course not.
the only time it would be,
No, but it's free
Through
savings, I
HRA
guess is my
or
point.
Yeah, it could be.
HSA.
right,
It's
free
exactly,
savings.
and it just automatically comes through.
And my
because-
guess is that if you went to a higher deductible, you would see like if you went to a 1,000, 2,000, I bet you would see almost a either reduction in price or a close to zero increase.
We could probably have the new person that she hires do some of this stuff.
So that's, That's the thing too. Like, so this is some of the analysis stuff that, I mean, in working with the, yeah.
But Brian Boyle should be able to put this all together for
Right.
you.
The
He gets, that's what we have him for.
Right. I have, I mean, I just told you that the IAC is not happy, and they're not coming to meetings, and they're not responding to my emails when I ask them to come to meetings. So if I'm not getting any cooperation from them, I present what I need to.
Right.
They were
And
They were fairly
upset
unhappy
that
last
they
year.
made a recommendation to put
What's
it in
that?
the budget.
They were fairly unhappy last year.
They
so-
were,
I'm sure
that's
you've
why
heard
we-
that. I'm
I
sure
watched
you've heard.
it. I watched it.
Yeah,
I was
they're very
very
unhappy,
hostile,
and they're
yes.
still, I mean, even when I sent out the initial email that we were having meetings, and if there was any issues, if anybody had, because this is the first year with the deductible, I wanted to get feedback from the employees saying, how did it impact you? Was it good? Was it bad? Did you notice it? The majority of people that I talked to did not have to use the deductible.
Right.
And
That's usually how it goes.
But
Yeah.
it's still, the replies to your invitation were still nasty. You didn't listen to us last year, why are we gonna come this year? That was
But
the-
if they were in the private sector,
it
Yeah,
doesn't
when you have a
matter.
choice.
They would have no
I know,
choice.
but-
It is what it is.
and they
Sorry
would
about
pay
that.
a heck of a lot more.
And go back one step. Excuse me, they have no choice now.
Right.
We're just trying to, she's being proactive.
Right.
That's all.
Well, and a lot of companies do that. There are a lot of companies have a insurance committee type thing where they try to give feedback, and
Right.
whether
Right.
they go with that feedback, they don't always go that. Management makes a decision, but
I'd love to
Yeah.
see those.
Impact on
Which is what
profits.
This is what we did last
which
year.
is fine because you're making the right decision for the town. It may not always be the right decision.
No, it was
for
actually the right
Right.
decision for most
And
of
I
the
did,
employees.
Yeah,
and I
but they
did
don't always see
present,
that.
yeah, exactly, I did present to them at the beginning of this year saying, each employee saved, if you have on a family plan, you save $350 over the year. If you're on an individual, you saved $150 by not going with their recommendation and going with, so it wasn't just a savings to the town, it was a savings to the employees. Except for the 7 that had to pay something towards the deductible. Maya is hopeful, like if we're looking at only 7 people had to pay the deductible and we're in March, that maybe, because we are actually, the 7.5% is on the high end of their rate range. We're hoping that it'll come down and we'll be in the middle range of their rate increase. But just so you know, we're not afraid of going out to bid and looking at other providers as well. But my thought on this, at least for this year, because it does fit into the budget, that $75,000 increase, is to not make any changes and go with the 7.5%.
No need to fight with the employees this year, we're budgeted the right way.
Or we do
Yeah.
what you said, we'd
Well, we
start
can
up the HRA side of it, we're saving more money, and we have less money we need to take from free cash, so we can spend it on other stuff that we all need.
like the position that
Yeah.
you want for
That
town.
HRA
Right.
would save a lot of money, and it won't
Potentially.
cost the employees any more.
And it only costs the town if the employees actually use their deductible.
And all you do is you make sure that they have to pay a certain, the first whatever, they have some skin in the game, and the town has some skin in the game, and
Yeah.
it all comes out.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't matter who pays it first. It's just the town. Like, so for my insurance plan, my company puts $1,800 into an HRIS form. My deductible $6,000, by the way. So I get to
Do you know
use
any employees that you could tell them
$1,800
to?
from the
Because it
company.
keeps going every year though, if you don't use it, they give you $1,800 every year, right?
No, it goes away each
Oh,
year.
it does go away each
No,
year?
Yeah.
no, most of those flexible spending type things
It doesn't
reset
go.
each
I
year.
mean, HSA would.
Some do accumulate and some
I
carry
have
over
savings.
certain.
Savings account, mine.
That
Depends
goes
upon how
from
it's set up,
yeah.
from job to job with
Yeah.
you.
Again, this is a lot of the analysis
amount.
stuff that,
But I
could
think
put-
you should
It's
go to,
$15,000
I think
a
you
year
should bring
out of
that
pocket too.
to Brian Boyle and say, hey,
$800 a
listen,
month.
Right.
He can do that off the top of his
Right,
head.
I mean,
That's his job.
the emails that we got from the employees, they're pissed. They're just pissed because they got that. And I
Change
tried to
comes
do the
hard.
best, I know,
Yeah, you can't make everyone happy.
right. So, I was hoping to get off easy this year. But, I will have Brian
We'll have
reach
him call
out.
the select board office.
Again, we're getting getting to the point where we need to have the board, because what happens, the IAC, meets and discusses, and then they make a recommendation to the board, and then the board votes on what rate we're gonna go with, and that, we need that before town meeting, so we have a set
The
number.
fortunate thing of tonight in this meeting is that we have a very competent member of the selectmen here. And she is taking diligent notes, and she understands, and maybe it's something that between us and them and you, Becky, that we can bring to fruition, cause if Alex's
They do, it saves a
things,
lot of time.
if Alex's plan works, and it does indeed save us money, which Brian Boyle, or whoever this gentleman is, could figure that out, I think it's something that we have to look at
Right.
to, in these difficult times.
And-
But that's Darren and the members in this room, other than 2 or 3 of us, don't have to face the music when it's, she's gotta deal with it, and the selectmen have to deal with it.
Right.
So, it's how,
Right, we're also in the middle of contract negotiations.
Well, that- and-
So, this would aggravate that, but, maybe not, if we can,
Maybe, maybe, yeah, so.
Yeah, but
so
if
try to
they're
change it
saving
in-
money on
Yeah.
premium,
yeah.
I mean,
they-
Well, in
Yeah, I
fairness,
know.
though,
They don't like
get it.
change,
They didn't
so
get
they
it
don't
last year,
get
when it
it,
would've
they don't
saved
get
the money. They
it,
don't
yeah.
wanna get it.
So the
They
whole
were gonna
idea
s-
is if you're saving money on premiums, that's good. But then if you think you're taking away because you got a deductible,
Yeah.
then they're upset.
affected what,
That's-
7 people?
Well, you have to, you
They-
have to.
they-
communicate
So
with
far.
They don't
them
look at it
in a
that
way.
way.
They don't look at
Which
it
is
that
tough.
way, they don't.
It is tough.
I last year I was like, you're voting for a 6.8% increase in premiums when you could have 0.42,
We made the case.
and they voted.
They wouldn't listen to
For,
us.
that was their recommendation to us, to make no changes and go with a 6.8%
I just-
increase.
That's just,
It was very frustrating.
We
Very,
walked
very, very,
around
very, very, very.
shocked
very,
at the response.
very-
do you ever have Brian come in to
Ah.
talk to the employees?
I was thinking the
Yes, he
same
would.
thing.
He was
So
at the
it's
meeting.
not you?
No, they come.
It was, they were all, he was at the meeting, again, last year it was all Zoom.
it
Yeah.
was Zoom meeting,
Yeah.
and I
I
remember,
So
was
it's not
remember
very
we-
effective.
Yeah, but that was just the insurance advisory
It's-
committee, not the employees.
Right.
Right.
But the unions appoint that person. I can't, before the fact, before we decide, because the unions say, that, yes, this person's gonna represent
The only,
us.
yeah, you know how we're having all these informational sessions for the bylaws? If we had an informational session with Brian for any employee who is concerned,
Right.
could see the numbers. I mean, there is some benefit. I know when we
you
implemented
could
it, it
probably
was
fill
tough.
that closet in there with all the people that would come.
Yeah.
I understand
They
that, but
can't
at
even get the
least,
insurance
But
advisory
you-
committee to come.
No.
but you,
That's
right,
where
but
I'm at
you,
right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
I
that's
can't
not
even get
possible.
the insurance
That goes
advisory
into the
committee
other
to
room.
come.
I
Well,
get it.
alright, that
Right.
refrigerator with the
I mean,
people that would come to the
again-
meeting, I'm sorry.
yeah.
I'm
But-
getting overwhelmed.
Right.
Like, I know I have to do all this stuff.
I don't think the
We will,
negotiations are gonna go splendidly
Becky will look
anyway, so
at
No.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't, but it's Brian's
Brian.
job, not your job,
Okay.
Right.
to run and figure that out.
We pay them a lot
Right,
of money.
but
to do it.
presenting it to the
gave
IAC
someone
and getting
that
them
what
to
it
get
is.
on board and
Right.
explaining it to them, that's my job.
Right.
What does this Brian cost us a year?
Nothing.
Yeah, is it?
But he
Yes,
gets
he
the
gets-
benefit,
he
he
gets
gets the
paid
benefit
by
of
the-
Yeah,
the
he gets paid by
He's
the
paid,
insurance.
yeah, he's paid by the
company.
insurance
Yeah.
companies. He
Okay.
doesn't do this
Yeah.
for free.
Right.
No.
But we're not paying them.
He gets commission.
That's all I'm at.
Get something.
That's like,
So I mean,
You
he
do
sh-
pay him, just not directly.
yeah,
right,
exactly.
he should be able to put this all together, cause I mean, that's what our broker did.
Yeah.
Right.
He sat down, he put it all together, he put it all out there and explained it in 3 different columns, so.
Right. And well, I just had to look at increasing the deductible because I didn't look at the other side of that because I haven't
You
done that
shouldn't
before.
have to, you shouldn't have to say, I want you to look at this. They should be coming
They
to
should be.
you
Right.
and saying, here are the opportunities that we can provide to you. And
Here's the
they're not
best
doing that.
And they do that, I
do
mean,
that.
they did that, like, okay, well, this is only gonna touch, this is gonna reduce it by instead of a 7.5, it's gonna reduce it to 4.92, but didn't,
Part of the problem is those people look at what plans make them the most money too.
right.
Yeah,
yeah, that's
They don't look at what's in the best interest of,
so they're not a fiduciary.
No,
Got it.
well,
they aren't.
They aren't. They're working for themselves, they're not working for the employees.
no, correct, yes.
Yeah.
Correct. They're working for themselves.
Yeah.
They might call themselves fiduciary.
Oh, they're not.
they might
Yeah.
they might be in that description of what they consider
They're not.
themselves. Because I'm pretty sure I've heard that from our benefits broker.
I mean, I guess we gotta, maybe we could send a note to the selectmen,
Life insurance.
or, you know, just to say, hey, these are things we considered, would you guys at least consider them? I mean, Carol's here, she can pass along the information, I just think it's,
Something
it
we
may,
need to
it
look
may
at.
be able, it may be able to fund a few other positions that we're looking for, I'm not, you
Really?
can't, we don't know.
Really, but that's really, any place where we can go ahead and do these kinds of things, where we might see some return, some benefit, it would mean potentially getting a person to be able to do some of this stuff that takes, and without us having to worry about, well, we're gonna have to go to town and ask for 2.5 override. I don't wanna do that.
Yeah, right.
I don't wanna do that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
okay, we beat this thing to death.
Okay, so life insurance,
Life insurance?
Yeah,
that's a small increase.
that's, just because we have more people enrolled. The town contributes 50%. There's no, it hasn't been an increase in the rates.
Right. If they died, they would come off,
The
right?
town contributes, it's a $10,000 basic policy, the town contributes
If they died, it
50%,
would be-
and the employee pays 50%.
10,000 for every employee? Or do you have to elect to have it?
You have to elect to have it.
Okay.
Yeah, right now we have 55 employees. Actually, I budgeted for 55, we have 53 enrolled right now.
No, that's fine, I just,
Yeah, yeah. The retirees are included, because if you retire from the town, the benefit goes down to a $5,000 policy, and they can continue, it comes out of their pension check and gets paid to us.
okay,
But it's the same 50/50. Medicare, I budgeted for I took the FY '22 budget and added 4% for some of the COLA increases that are gonna go through union-wise. We seem to be running on target for the budget for FY '22. There was a number of years where I had put in a 3% increase and we kept falling behind because of salary increases and more employees and that type of stuff. So I've bumped that up. It seems to be on target for FY '22 and increased it to 4% for COLAs, which includes stepped increases for union members and stuff like that, so.
How does that number get affected? Well, it wouldn't, if they got a bigger than 2%, would that number change?
Yeah, yes. But I budgeted for 4%. I increased that total number by 4%. But if we hire people at higher
you can't
rates, we
wait
give them.
until the
Oh,
negotiation.
no, I'm not saying that, but I mean, that number is a little flexible still.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it
And
sounds like she did it higher than
higher than what we
expected.
think, and it might have to change depending upon what goes on with everything, and we might have to increase that, and
Usually,
Is what it is.
we don't adjust that, just because it's like an estimate, and if it's been pretty close or under. It's not like there's a ton of extra money in there, that, I
but
think, what
with,
did we spend?
but with what potentially might be happening with the steps, the situation with the steps, that would affect it. So,
She might not know that.
but that's okay, we'll figure that out, when that comes through, we'll make sure we calculate that in so that it's there.
Okay.
Our liability insurance went down.
I don't actually do liability insurance. I don't know why
That
I'm
was
on there
done
for
through
that.
Beth,
That's not
and
my
she got the number right from
department.
the insurance company, so that's the number they gave us. So I think that has a lot to do, there's credits and stuff that they get, so.
Let's not look at
A lot of
gift cards.
conversation about that, but that's accurate.
Just wanna make sure it's accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's accurate.
Yeah, I don't know why I got on that one, but I don't have to do that.
It's kind of funny, because the thing is, I just go through and I go, oh yeah, I think that's, because it's just, I
It's insurance.
I
I'm like,
figured
no,
it's
not
not that
employee
insurance.
related.
I don't do
It's
that.
not
figure it's all you.
No, it's not employee related. so it comes out.
Some days I feel like it's all me.
And then unemployment, we just have always done 7,000.
Yeah, and what that is it's tucking away an amount, just to build up into our trusts, that we build up an amount if we have to pay unemployment. I think the balance in there is maybe 40,000 right now. We did have people that collected unemployment through COVID, but that was all paid through COVID funds. so.
So, no?
Debt,
Because I want to have one brief conversation. with
No,
you.
no, we haven't gone over debt
we
yet.
do debt,
Don't worry, I haven't forgotten, because that's the big one.
yeah. It's actually a reduction from.
I know,
previous year.
that's the
It's always
reason why,
a-
it's a positive thing.
Like it's,
It's a good thing, that's the thing, I'm like, I haven't forgotten, because this is a great
the
thing.
yeah,
positive.
it's 52, it went down $52,000.
Nice.
From FY '22. And if you look at the numbers, it's been consistently going down. This year, if you look at the principal's gone up, but the interest has gone down because we, in November of this year, we refinanced a boatload of debt. We went out and borrowed more money for the water and sewer
Yeah.
projects that we increased it and approved in, what was that, 2019, I think, or 20, for the water repairs.
Yeah.
We did that. These numbers do not include any enterprise, any of the water and sewer debt. This is just general fund debt. We refinanced the two USDA debts that we had out there for the public safety building and the DPW building in November. And there was a 2021 state qualified bond that we had. By refinancing all of those, I think the interest on the USDA loans that we were paying was like 3 or 4%. So we went out and did this bond for $6.9 million, and we got an interest rate of, what did I do? 1.72% for the total, plus a premium. So the final savings for the refunding of those bonds was a budgetary savings over the life of the loans, which was a 20-year loans, was $1,016,000 just about. So it was a good.
What did you say the savings was on the interest on the long-term debt?
If you can do the math on 267 minus 180, because it was you mean last year?
Is it supposed to be 188,620 for this year?
That's correct.
Okay, just want to make sure, because it's 76,877, and I thought you had said it was 73, and I was just like, okay, I just want to make sure.
What's 76,870?
The savings.
The difference.
Difference between
Okay,
last year
yeah,
and this year.
no, these numbers are good.
I wanted to
that
just make sure,
doesn't
because you had said a different number, and I'm like, I just want to make sure. That
change. No,
this is
I was
right.
reading about the
That's fine.
refinance
Perfect.
stuff. Just the percentage,
Yep.
what the interest rate came down to from 3.4 cents, 3.4, all that USDA stuff, because we borrowed USDA when we built those buildings, because it's a 40-year loan, but while the rates were low, we did the refinance and,
Because they're not gonna be low long.
no.
So what was
Actually, it went
the,
up to 4.
Yeah.
Today.
so what is the total, this is our interest payments? What's that total number of debt? What's that number that we have outstanding debt?
Oh,
I
I
can-
don't know, I
I
have to look in here. I think she's got it in here. He had a debt schedule, I think.
Let me see.
$1 million.
No. No, it's not 1 trillion. Do I have it on these sheets?
I thought we had.
I think it's like 8 million.
Because you usually have that long thing
Yeah.
that's got all
I
the.
just wondered if
Right,
someone
but it
asked, what's
doesn't,
the
that
number?
doesn't have
That's
like the, oh wait, here it is, principal balance at 7122. It is
I thought we had.
11 million. This is as of 7/1/2022, 11,675,390.
Is that the one that shows you every single year, Becky?
No, this is like the, because the one this one, the long-term debt schedule,
Yeah.
that's the one that I've got the year highlighted, and it
Right.
goes down. I kind of changed the format from previous years
Right,
because
but at
it's,
least
I
this
think
one-
You can see it better.
it's clear when it's dropping off.
Yeah.
We do have, in FY '23, as you can see, there's a lot of blanks here, and we've been working with, I sent this to CIPC, and I've been working, kind of getting information for them, because we do have debt dropping off. There's a $60,000 amount for Naquag renovations that is coming off in FY '23. There's a lot of projects with Ron's pavement management plan and the facilities management. There's, it brought to light a lot of things that need to be done. the goal for debt usually is to keep it at a level
I was talking about this.
amount. So, what we wanna do is look at what we can borrow to keep, as these things drop off, we wanna authorize more debt to just keep it at a level pace. You don't want it to go up and down, you just wanna keep that expense
Yep.
as
Could you
level as
send me
possible.
that as well? And
Yeah.
then I can send it out to everybody, that way we'll have it if we have questions.
Yeah, I
think
think,
the
I
number
think
that
I
11
provided
million
in the
number is
back
the
of
number
that, but I'll
Yeah,
send
but
it
this
out.
way you'll have it.
No,
So
no,
that-
no, I agree with you, but if
Yeah.
someone asks us, we can now.
Right,
direct them.
exactly, but it's also nice to be able to refer back to it, because
Absolutely.
you know how when you're
Yeah.
sitting up there under the lights and everyone's screaming at you. It's
Under
not
the
nice.
lights.
Under the lights, because there's, you're right there, there's.
Spotlight.
I can answer those questions too, if you like.
Yes, exactly. Don't worry,
Yeah.
we know where you sit. We
That's
we
right,
have no problem.
exactly.
Becky?
Yeah, where do you find her?
I'll also include like the sheet that has the totals that's outstanding, which is on another
Thank you,
place.
thank you.
Yeah, no, it's perfect.
I have to write it out. though.
That's not in the budget presentation? Although she's
not
taking
sure.
the budget presentation? It might be
thought
all in
this-
your budget
this-
presentation I gave you
Long-term
in
debt.
front of the presentation.
I
think
I
you-
don't see it, but I haven't committed this book.
Yeah, it's the last couple of
Remember yet?
pages of my budget
I
presentation of all the
use
debt
this.
stuff on it that Becky gave me, so I think it's there. If you look at the whole big budget presentation I gave you, it's the last few pages of it.
Yes, we have.
Yeah, you got it.
Right.
Not the last page, but the couple before it. There you go. And if you
Any
need
other
glasses,
questions
it's
for
there.
Becky, so she can maybe go home?
Actually, no, other than, just want to say, I think you're doing a great job. Thank you for the work that you do.
Like, I just got more on my list now. Thank you, but thank you, I appreciate it.
So, if we, I just want to have a little brief conversation to kind of give perspective here. Last year, we had a big battle or a big conversation about you guys not being able to see the department head request because I worked with department heads and we kind of came in agreement what we were going to present. So you guys didn't get to see a lot of things they want. And that frankly was a result of knowing we had a big deficit out of the box, and it was, to me, it was a waste of time talking about what you might want because we ain't gonna give it to you, right? So anyway, this year, when I did the budget presentation and having learned a lot about how to deal with the school system and other issues, I took a different approach to it, and I let all the department heads give me their requests. And of course, you would expect the first thing they did is all the cuts that we did last year, they put back in their budgets, right? And we had a long conversation. I think Darren actually, was one of the big people in that conversation in terms of, we talked about a level fund budget versus a level services budget, right? We talked a lot about that. So this year, when I got all the budget requests, I had about a $260,000 deficit that I had, sort of like we did last year, but instead of bringing it to you, I had to make my cuts from the department requests to get it to be balanced, right? And that's where I made all these cuts to these staff positions and stuff and other cuts. And I was fiddling around with how to get, how much, the least amount of free cash I could use, and what my goal was to get to 100 and I couldn't make it, right? But that was the way I structured it. So I cut, like some of the things that they wanted to get back to, again, we're talking about fiscal year 2021 numbers, because we cut in fiscal year 22. They wanted to get back to fiscal 21 numbers, never mind something in the future, right? So all the positions that I put in new, after they were in there, that was the first thing I cut out because I wasn't even at a level funded budget. So I had to make up all those, I had to cut those accounts that I tried to give them more money this year and try to fix as many as we could from fiscal year 2021. So the reason I'm pointing this out is because this year, if you look at these budgets, you'll see that most of them are last year's numbers, right? So they're level funded, but level funded to a budget that was cut last year.
Right.
Now, there's some accounts that were increased, some over time, and some things, but I fixed what I could. What I thought were the most important accounts. And I want to share with you this frustration because I'm hearing it tonight in our discussions, right? So the first thing we're talking about is we'd like to fund some positions because I think I pointed out, and I think you guys agree, there's some positions we really could use. But I also want to point out that this budget doesn't even fix some of the line items, like overtime in a variety of accounts and things that we didn't do last year. So before I could even consider new positions, I can't even fix our last year's cuts, right?
Right.
So I know that the instant reaction here is, we need these positions. But I want you to understand too, there's a lot of cuts that we made that never got made up for it. And we're not making a current services budget at all here, guys. We're going backwards in all these different departments. So that's sad to me. That's why last year I pushed for the override to try to keep us at least a level funded budget last year. Not a level current service budget, but a level funded, and went down, right?
Right.
So I just want you to understand that we're not even at a current services budget. We're still going backwards in curves. Before we even think about new employees, we're still going backwards. And I just want you to understand it, because I know when you see this position, Becky, saying, like I did, I could make an argument for every one of these damn positions I put up. That's why I want you to see them. But I just want you to understand tonight, there's a bigger picture that we have to think about too. And I wish I had some wonderful answer for you, but I don't, because we just don't have the money. But I wanted you to have a feel for my frustration that I couldn't even get them back to
When you buy
2021
paper,
numbers, never mind.
Could you see if you could buy
Never
the
mind giving
paper that
new
they make
positions.
money
Right.
on? And
Just
we
so you
can
understand,
print
it's
our own?
complicated,
Right, no, and I understand everything you're saying, and I think you're absolutely right. But I think it's important
I
just to
don't do that.
recognize that while we may be in
Just said that
positions
like
to
it's a
be able to
problem.
say that we don't have the funds for it,
Yeah.
I think it's important for people like Becky and Joe and those folks to understand that we recognize
Yeah.
that they need the support. We don't know how to get them the support,
Right.
because last year, as you said,
Yeah.
we went with the 2.5 override, and the town said, no, not this year.
And that's
So-
why in my budget presentation, I put those positions in there. Knowing I had already cut them, I still included them on a major page of my budget presentation. Not only did I want you to hear it, I wanted the select board to hear it, I wanted the public to hear it.
Sure.
These are positions we need. We're not playing, this is serious, we're still making other cuts. But I wanted the public to understand that the town's growing. And it's really changing and getting bigger, and it needs more money to pay for services, but we're not keeping up with the growth of the town. That's
So,
the reality.
From my perspective, it becomes important in the town meeting. I mean, so we're gonna have a 40 town meeting here or something coming up because of the bylaws. But I think in the section where we're doing the operating budgets, that it's important to be able to have at least a conversation that says, this is what you're getting, this is what you're not getting, and you have to decide what you wanna do.
Well-
We did that last year. We had a statement of
Well, we
impact.
put out the impact statement. I bet you, I wonder how many people actually read it. But we
Well,
worked our
and-
ass off to get an impact statement. I'm not sure how valuable it ended up being.
Well,
Because we can't get people to come to an AIC meeting. How are we gonna get the citizens to read?
That's not people, that's employees.
Right.
Well, I
There's a
know, but we can't get
difference.
employees to come. How do we get citizens to attend and read the impact statements?
Well, you know what? You never know.
I know.
Put it out
That's what
there
you-
and that's what you do.
And that's the whole point. It's not a matter of who shows up or who
We're
reads
trying
it.
to put it out.
And we put it out there so that we're at least providing them with information. Because like Darren says, you run into people on the street and their first comment is, well, why are we spending so much money?
So-
And the reaction is, and why my roads aren't being fixed? And why, look at the town hall, there's a whole bunch of comments about things. The whole idea here is,
That wood house roof.
the wood house roof, it becomes a matter of just making sure that they understand they have the opportunity to solve the problems that they're complaining about.
So,
That's
so,
it.
so Tommy, I want to say that, I want you to understand that, and Darren will understand, and I'll talk about that later, but I'm passionate about trying to fix some of these problems.
Right.
And I put it forward, and I'm not afraid of having an argument or a fight or a discussion over these issues, because I
Right.
think we have to talk about them, like it or not. And I know that I'm aggravating some people by having these conversations, because they don't want to raise taxes, there's a lot of reasons why people get mad. My obligation, just to be clear to everybody, is to present the ideas and what I think as a professional manager, what I think we should do.
Right.
And at the end of the day, I don't make the final decision. It's made in town meeting,
Right.
what they finally do. But I can't just ignore the fact that we need these positions and just say, you know what, we don't have money, just not even discuss them. So I'm gonna bring those out, and if some people get mad, I'm sorry to say, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm passionate about some of these things, like what's going on with the few non-union employees that I think it just hasn't been right and just.
Right.
And I'm passionate about that, and just to be clear, because I had this conversation with Darren today, at the end of the meeting, me and Darren were talking out front, and we weren't arguing at all. We were talking about things, and I was passionately arguing about some of the points, and Darren, for the most part, was agreeing with me. And if any of you talk to me, I never yell and scream at any individual members. They're always intelligent, polite conversation. I'll tell you what I think.
Yeah.
And me and Karen, numerous times last year,
I only hung
bumped
up
heads
on
on
you
pitch, but it
once.
was never personal. It really was, what?
I only hung up on you once.
Yeah, it was never really personal. I don't get mad at Karen because she disagrees with me. But Karen and me are both strong personalities, and we make strong points when we debate.
Right.
The same thing is true of me and Darren, and I've had each of you guys come in my office to talk about things. I'm never gonna, and there was no cursing at him last night, I know there was a gossip or discussion about that. It was actually kind of a friendly conversation that we both I think both of us shared our frustrations about different things. But I want you guys to understand that I'm open to discussions with any of you, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm not gonna tell you what you wanna hear, I'm gonna tell you what I think I know in my experience. So that's what I'm gonna give you. You may not like it, but that's what it is. But I just wanted to have that conversation, and I don't know what the answer to all these problems are, because most of it's money we don't have.
Right. And I don't
So
think.
for years,
Yeah.
and Becky can attest to this, you had to submit 2 budgets. Needs budget and level service budget.
Yeah.
That was how we did it for years, because and we never got to the level service, we cut, but still, that was what used to come to us. We used to get 2 budgets.
And that's what this is, but it's not truthfully, it's not even level services,
this isn't
because
level
departments
service,
are
this is level
so
funding.
used to getting cut
Yep,
that
It's
they're not
actually a
providing
little
level
bit
service
below
anymore. They're
level.
begging
Oh, I
for the
know.
most
Take
they
it to
think
the
they can get.
increases,
Yep.
right?
yep, I agree. So, but yeah, the department heads have been through this.
Right.
They're used to it now. They are cutting their own budgets because they know they can get it passed. So they're trying to maximize what they think they can get. That's what they're doing.
Well, they're tired of doing budgets from November through April. Like,
Right.
it's really tiring
Worn
after a
us
while.
down. You worn us down.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's
Yeah, just
level.
It's just level. Yeah, that's what they do. It's
I'll
just
make
level.
it
Yeah.
work.
I mean,
I'll make
I'll
it work.
admit it, I
Yeah.
would be the same, so.
Yeah. And I just wish I didn't have the
Exhausting.
frustration. And truthfully, I've never had this kind of frustration in towns I manage because there's more money. Even Southbridge, which is a poor town, the board
Yeah,
didn't
but-
have to go to town meeting, so they could just vote stuff, you know?
Right.
And here, because you gotta go to town meeting, it
Business.
doesn't work.
You had business in Southbridge.
What's that?
You had business in Southbridge.
Yeah, business. That's right.
Well, in Southbridge,
It's
yeah,
industry.
in Southbridge you have more business than here, but
Taxpayers,
it's not as good as you think, because the poorness is way worse than
I
here, so
get
it's
it,
it's a
but-
bad trade-off. Yeah, there's a lot of slum housing and poor poverty. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, I just wanted to express, as we think about this, that it's not just about positions. There's accounts here that we probably should fund better, that are important, as important as some of these positions. But, and I know, truthfully, of all the positions we have, I'm not sure what the most important one is. Like I constantly think of DPW because they got hurt the most last year. So in my mind, DPW adding a position here is the most important of everything. But I can make a good case for her that a town assistant accounting position too, because those are both strong.
But that-
Those would be my 3, if I had to put money back, and those 2 part-timers to take care of playgrounds and fields. I'm like,
Right.
so we
it's-
do that, you know?
It's not important to convince us, because I think pretty much we're here.
Yeah.
I'm not talking for everybody,
know.
but for me, I'm pretty much there. Select board, I'm sure, are there as well. They
Well,
see
they
it
follow
every
your
time.
recommendation and the budget stuff.
But it
so.
becomes a matter of what happens at town meeting. It becomes a really important segment of that meeting.
So-
The presentation be compelling. I guess that's the
Yeah.
way that I want.
So I'm gonna give you another avenue or another description, and I'm gonna give it to you just from, again, my history experience, right? So one of the things we've been talking about is a CPA fund, which is a fund that you could put in, let's say, half of the taxes. You have to have a referendum in town, but they put in 0.5% taxes into a fund, and it's considered to be used for like historical things, for buying land, like 61A land, can be used for doing capital stuff for your playgrounds and stuff.
Right.
And in Hanson, the town I used to work in had it. It was a huge success. And Peter Crane has brought it forward for discussion purposes, and other people have brought it forward, and it really hasn't gone anywhere. I think there's
Margaret brought that forward
years ago.
years
Right,
ago,
it's-
and it fell flat.
It fell flat. But the problem I think we have, and again, this is my perception, you guys have lived here longer than me, I'm not, but I feel like we already know we're gonna lose when we go to town meeting, and there's nobody out there championing, really taking horns on trying to lead a public fight for things.
I
And-
disagree. Last year, this board busted a hump to get
To do
stuff
the-
out there
to
to
the
make
public.
sure with the department heads that we had impact statements. and slide presentations, and we
Whether
were.
they did anything or not.
Not,
busted our-
we really
yes.
got it out there to make sure that everyone was aware, and the
Ted.
department heads,
Did it tough.
Do you
department
think-
heads
so-
made
It's a
sure.
good question, Karen, and again, you're absolutely right, because I worked with you on building those impact
Right.
statements, right? But do you think that those impact statements, did we sell those cuts enough to the public? I'm talking about the selling to the public of the stuff, you know what I mean? We put out the information, but there was not people going out championing it like at a referendum and trying to get votes and doing
We
the
can't
stuff you're
do-
doing. You can't do it.
We can't do what we would all like to do, which is use the funds that we're unable to do to get the word out, like certain other entities that take up 58% of our budget are able to do. So, we're not able to do it.
I know, but there's tons.
So
what
that's the
my
thing,
point
so
is.
it's easy when you're fighting an uphill battle against somebody who's able to do stuff that we are not
Right.
allowed to do.
That's what I mean by there really should be groups of advocates out there fighing on behalf of this stuff, and we don't have.
I think there are, I think there are a lot more than you think.
Really?
I do, I think there's a lot more than you think, but,
Like I said to Peter Crane and I said to the Agriculture Commission, if you want a CPA fund, you gotta go out and convince the public why you need it. You gotta sell it.
Yeah.
And you just can't come to a selectmen's meeting and say, we want it. It's not, that's not the step. You have to sell it.
Margaret tried to save Davis Farm, which everyone was all about trying to save Davis Farm, and it fell flat.
It still died at referendum.
She tried really hard.
I just get a sense that people assume anything that goes to referendum in this town is gonna die.
So
It's just like, it tells me on everything.
I think what we should do is we should ask the selectmen to put into their budget a line item for lottery tickets.
We're gonna start playing the lottery.
Yeah.
I think we do cryptocurrency, and the
Well,
minute we
whatever.
get a million, we buy, we sell.
Whatever.
Bitcoin.
We find a way to make the money.
Guys, I don't know the answers, I just wanted you to
Yeah, no, I
understand my
appreciate-
frustration and
I
what.
think we appreciate
I really think we have to find some way to fight for some of these things in a public way to win. Otherwise, we're never gonna win the referendum.
No, I agree.
Referendum of what?
Whatever it is, if you do a CPA, and I forget the name of the fund, it's.
Community Preservation Act.
Preservation Act. So when you fight for the Community Preservation Act, it sets up, for instance, we got this big issue of a piece of 61A the town's considering. But if you had a CPA, there would already be money in the account to purchase it. That's what the CPA does. It buys open space land, fixes parks, does historical things. If the money was already there, instead of having to go through this process of town meeting and it would already be there to do it. But you have to have advocates out there to fight for a CPA
You still have to
fund.
bring it to the town meeting to spend it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, some of it would have to go to town meetings.
You don't just get to spend it.
Well, it's a little bit more but there's a setup of money already in a fund. So you could say, we don't have to go borrow money when it's here already. So that's what I mean by, you gotta fight for, if we had that, we could make better decisions on how to buy open space land when it comes available, right? Land becomes available, but if you don't have any money, it's hard to make decisions to buy stuff if you got nothing to buy with, right?
Any other discussions on the budget this evening? So we have meetings next Wednesday and Thursday as well.
Okay.
And who's the agenda next Wednesday and Thursday?
Board of Assessors, Town Clerk, Elections, Board of Registrars, Town Report, RDIC. Thursday is Conservation Commission, Planning Board, Board of Appeals, Agriculture, and Cable Access.
So you got any of those?
Nope.
Good.
No, she's done. I got one and done. I try to have her in once so she doesn't have to keep doing up nights.
Okay.
You're down,
And with nobody else, so I don't bore somebody.
you're
that's
through
waiting
most
to
of the
go.
budget though. You're through all the big departments you're done with.
Right.
You get the school systems to the other big one, but other than that, you just got some small departments. You don't have a massive amount of work to get us to where we are. And there's gonna be some adjustments as we get closer that we're gonna have to make, but the big part of what you guys have to do is already done.
Yeah, we're getting there. Motion to adjourn?
Okay?
Thank you,
Second.
everybody.
He pointed at you.
He said it first, so I seconded it.
I know, I was just interested, and he pointed at you.
No, well, I pointed him.
He tells me what to do.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nope.
Okay, we're adjourned at 7:46.
Thank you guys, appreciate your time.